Good afternoon. I would like to call this meeting of the Oldham County Board of Education to order. It's our regular meeting. It's August 24th, 2020, and we are at the Arvin Education Center. Superintendent, any corrections or additions to the agenda, sir?
Yes, ma'am, there are a couple of corrections. If you look at Roman numeral 4, there is going to be an addition of 4A, the approval of resolution to initiate the refinancing process and enter into a lease agreement. Mr. Salisbury is here for that. 4B then will become the treasurer's report. And then if you go under consent items, item D, Ms. Corson has given you a supplemental. There are a couple other contracts that were added late to that, and so that is an updated supplement.
Thank you, sir. All right, so I need a motion to approve the agenda, please. Motion made by Mr. Kehoe, seconded by Ms. Hundley. All those in favor? And that would be 5-0. I am going to ask Ms. Whitaker to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well done, Miss Nikki. Let's proceed to the treasurer's report, Superintendent.
Actually, we're going to go 4A, which is we're going to have Dwight Salisbury talk to us once again.
Yes.
My story hasn't changed.
Welcome, Mr. Salisbury.
This is the board resolution related to the refinancing, so it just is the board entering into the lease agreement, which you all have approved when the Finance Corporation meeting was in session.
Dwight, if you would step up to the mic, we're streaming. Thank you.
Put it up here to the tall guy size. This is the resolution that the board will enter into that matches the resolution that you all had entered into under the Finance Corporation. So if there are no questions, Madam Chairman, I'll read it. It's the resolution of the Board of Education of the Oldham County School District initiating the refinancing process in order to refund and retire all of the outstanding Oldham County School District Finance Corporation school building revenue bonds, series of 2011, originally issued to finance the projects, authorizing and approving the execution of a lease agreement with the Oldham County School District Finance Corporation and any further necessary instruments, authorizing and approving the execution of continuing disclosure procedures, and approving the plan of refinancing said projects generally.
Dwight, I cannot even keep up with you by just reading it with my eyeballs as fast as you read this thing.
As Mr.
Well done.
Mr. Schultz pointed out, I've read this a few times.
A million times. Thank you, sir. So your recommendation, Superintendent?
Approve the resolution initiating the refinancing process and authorizing and approving the lease agreement with the OCS District Finance Corporation as presented.
Thank you. Motion to approve, please. Made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mr. Kehoe. All those in favor? And that would be 5-0.
Thank you all very much.
See you next time.
Thank you, Mr.
Salisbury. So we are ready for 4B, Superintendent.
All right, so, thank you, Ms. Hundley. Just going to wipe that mic off. So we'll call up Ms. Anderson to do the treasurer's report.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Everybody. All right, so our treasurer's report begins on, well, it's page 1. Look at that. So this is for the month of July. We're in a new fiscal year. So as you look at the financials, it's not quite as exciting as it is once we're a little farther through the year. If we start on the first page, we've got our cash. We've got a beginning balance of $45.3 million. And kind of surprising, we got an ending balance of $45.7 million, so a slight increase there. We're seeing a little bit of money coming in on food service and a little bit in daycare. If we go down to the section with the bonded funds, we see zero activity except for some interest we were receiving on the leftover Camden money. On the following page, we've got the governmental cash by fund. And I guess the biggest thing I want to call your attention to is about smack dab in the middle. We've got construction fund, of $7.1 million. So we have transferred some money in there so that Brent can continue his construction projects. On the following page, we've got our historical comparison. This has been updated to roll everything, so we've got the new annual fiscal '21 budget as it stands right now. I have made some minor change to reduce some expectations in the area of interest with interest rates that have been reduced. It helps us out on the bond side, but not so much when we've got interest income. I've also reduced our expectations on the rent side since we're holding off on that for a little bit. So these are relatively small areas. We have gotten some information back from the state about property taxes and SEEK, so I'll be reviewing those and getting some updated numbers for you all. When we go to this next section, looking at the revenue, the one area that continues to be strong is this motor vehicle tax. It showed up strong on our property tax evaluations as well. So that concludes that page. On the following page, we've got the detail by account of the revenue. What I wanted to bring attention to you on this one was we've got the de jure income from that, the $50,000 donation. 2 pages after that, we've got our expenses. You can see through each of these categories, really, we're trending very well for month number 1 compared to the previous years. I did also want to let you know, you may see in some of these expense accounts a little code at the end called CV, and these are for some of the costs that are outside of what we're getting reimbursed through CARES for COVID costs. Mm-hmm. So in this case, we've got some classified salaries. We'll be seeing the VLA group come through here. We wouldn't have had VLA except for COVID, so we're hoping that that's an area where we can get reimbursement from FEMA. We do not know, but we are trying to track these costs so we at least know what we're spending. The other major area where we're seeing some of these CV costs are in the supplies. As the schools are gearing up, we might not see it so much here in July, but we are seeing it a little bit more in August. This is also the time of year where we've got the beginning of our contracts. So if you go to the software section, that's account 0650, you can see that we've got a hefty sum in there, and that's the beginning of our contracts for the year. A lot of those start on July 1st, so there's a good-sized expense in there. Mm-hmm. Again, looking at the trend of things on page 12, we are just slightly above where we were last year and 2 years ago. So I would like to see that trend continue, but I don't know that will, being in the year of COVID. On the following page, on page 14, are the expenses by function. And that, of course, matches the expenses that you've seen on previous pages. On page 16 is the summary of bonding potential. I spoke with Dwight just a little bit ago, and he said this really will not change in any significant way after we do the refunding. It's just a slight change in interest, so it's not really going to change our bonding potential. On page 17, we've got our balance sheets by fund. Mm-hmm. And following that, we have our income statements on page 30 by fund. And that concludes this portion of the Treasurer's report.
Excellent. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Are there questions or comments? Motion to approve the Treasurer's report, please. Motion made by Ms. Hundley. Seconded by Mr. Dodson. All those in favor? That's 5-0. Let's talk bills and claims, Ms. Anderson.
All righty. On page 84, we've got bills and claims. We are starting to see an increase in the number of invoices, but we are nowhere near where we were a year ago this time. A year ago, we were at 1,500 invoices, and we've just got almost 1,000 this time. We are also seeing fewer costs currently, and compared to last month was a big construction month, and we're seeing fewer construction payments this month. Other than that, normal start of year costs.
Right. Again, I appreciate the additional notes, Ms. Anderson. Are there questions or comments on bills and claims? So motion to approve, please. Motion made by Mr. Kehoe. Seconded by Mr. Dodson. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. Thank you, Ms. Anderson.
All right, thank you.
All right. Board members, we have 3 sets of minutes to approve. The first set is from July 24th. That was a special called meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? Motion to approve, please. Motion made by Mr. Kehoe, seconded by Ms. Hundley. All those in favor? And that's 5-0. We had our regularly scheduled board meeting on July 27th. Corrections or additions? Motion to approve, please. Motion made by Ms. Hundley, seconded by Mr. Dodson. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. And we had a special called meeting again on August 3rd. Corrections or additions? Motion to approve, please. Motion made by Mr. Dodson and seconded by Mr. Kehoe. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. Thanks, guys. Superintendent, we are ready for the notice to the board of personnel actions, sir.
So a little bit heavier on resignations at the very beginning of the school year that we've talked about. We had some folks that chose to go to different places, and that's perfectly acceptable and fine, and we are in the process of finding replacements for those teachers and numerous appointments as well, but nothing that is outstanding that I need to draw your attention to.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Superintendent. We are ready for the consent agenda, and we have items A through E. Your recommendation, sir.
Approve the consent items as presented within your packet.
Motion to approve, please. Made by Ms. Hundley, seconded by Mr. Kehoe. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. Thank you, guys. Superintendent, we are ready for report number 1, sir.
So our famous facilities director, Mr. Brent Bohannon, will give us a latest update on our construction projects.
Welcome, Mr. Bohannon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
The document included in your package has the construction report updated as of about a week or so ago. So there's some things that are currently more up to date, and I'll bring those to your attention. But the central office renovation is substantially complete at this point. The Oldham County High School roof replacement, the area, if you look at your the appendix on that, the area in yellow is nearing completion. If it's not completed, I haven't been up there since this morning, so they were pretty close this morning. That would be the last portion of the tear off for the main core building, the area A, which is the lower area over the wood shop. Once we get the tear off complete, put back on the main core, we'll take a look at where we are with the school schedule for that.
Thank you.
The Buckner Classroom Addition, the interior scope is substantially complete. We did receive the approvals needed from the Housing, Building, and Construction finally to proceed with the classroom addition, and that work is underway with a significant amount of earth moving and subsurface plumbing going on at this point.
Excellent.
The LaGrange partial roof replacement, the mechanical equipment curbs are still on hold for that project, and the contractor has been notified that it will not receive any cannot proceed with the closeout documents until those are in place. And I will say that I do have that particular contractor working on 2 projects at the same time, so I am pushing really hard for the certain things over here at Oldham County High School to get done that is holding him up a little bit on that. So North Middle HVAC replacement, the HVAC air conditioning is on, and the cooler and the freezers are in place and operational, and the contractor is in cleanup mode with a few site work issues remaining to
Excellent.
clean up. The South High Administrative Addition and Gym HVAC project, the site work continues on that. The footings and foundations are underway for the administrative addition, and the gym HVAC addition roof is under construction. And actually today they started putting masonry brickwork up on the gym addition and started laying some of the interior partition blocks at the front over the weekend. Chose not to use a word there. The situation that we were speaking about earlier today, just to give you all an update on that, the air conditioning, the air conditioning loop has water circulating through it. They were not able to get the cooling tower up and running this weekend like we hoped, so it should be up in the next day or two.
Excellent. Thank you.
And that would provide the air conditioning for the existing school.
Yeah.
The rest of those projects, you can see, are in the design phases at this point. If we want to pop down to the smaller projects that we've got going on around the district, the LaGrange MSD classroom restroom renovations, we received bids on that last week, and we'll be issuing a notice to proceed with that with the board's approval. The South Oldham High School turf replacement is complete. Regrading and the subsurface work of that was all completed and tested, and the drainage and final testing on that was done last week as well. So they're actually starting to use it. So
Excellent.
Site improvements, if you want to skip down to number 5 there, I'm going to give you an update on that one. That bus loop pavement has been completed. The sub base for the front lot has been completed, tested, proof rolled, and is ready for pavement as soon as the county has the opportunity, and they'll be out on the 1st of the month to start doing pavement work there. Meanwhile, they continue with the sidewalk and concrete work on that project.
Excellent.
So that about sums it up if there's any questions.
You have a few more minor projects. Your terminology, not mine, Mr. Bohannon, but thank you, which looks like the Oldham County High Band Tower.
Yes, we also have some site wind damage repairs over here at Oldham County High School
Oh, you're right.
with the baseball field fencing, and then replacing some fencing over at the soccer field as well. Those bids were received for that last week, and to be honest with you, I haven't even had a chance to open that email yet, so I'll get back to you on that one.
Right. I'm not asking questions. I'm just making note of how busy you are.
We've got
and
plenty
your-
to do.
And your department. Questions or comments, board members, on this report?
No, but if you don't have any, since you brought that up, I would like to, I kind of maybe misspoke a little bit last meeting, and I do want to thank the people in my department. There's a lot of things that they do that I could not be doing what I'm doing without them. So I do want to thank Nancy Wins with our energy management and security. She's taking care of all the keys. We have a couple rekeying projects going on as well. Kathy Schweitzer at the office, she basically runs the office while I'm out running around everywhere else. And Mr. Marlowe is my eyes and ears on the ground on the construction site, so we're bouncing back and forth between me and him, and Julie as well, to help me keep things moving.
Excellent. Thank you
thank you.
for recognizing them. Thank you, Mr. Bohannon. Superintendent, report number 2, sir.
So included in the superintendent report number 2 is a donation amount for each of the schools through last year that fall under the amount that they have to get board approval. And so that's there for you to look at. I did some quick math. That is about $540,000 that has been donated to all of our schools through various parent organizations, PTAs, PTOs, booster clubs, and just some general recommendations. So that's just great news for our schools. Obviously, the community has always stepped up and done great for us, and very proud to announce that amount.
That is outstanding news. We do have the best ever parent community in Oldham County, so thank you for doing that math for us. Any questions or comments on this report? All right. Let's move along then. I'm looking for my agenda page. I'm sorry. We have 2 action items. Action item F, sir.
So these policies have been presented to you in previous months. Obviously, some of them are emergency based on Title IX changes. And then there is also, Nope, that's it on that. So those policies have all been talked about over the last couple of months.
Yes, they have. We have our general counsel, Miss Courtney Corson, is with us. Do we have any questions for her?
I was looking at your draft policy and supplemental for the
That's what I was looking for.
emergency day resolution.
Miss Ann, maybe we ought to speak to that.
Yes,
At
that's
the
what I was looking for when I was
microphone.
like, I don't see it here, but.
Yeah.
It was emailed today, Superintendent.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We do have these policies that we're asking you to adopt. Like Mr. Schultz said, the Title IX ones are a result of a deadline coming up and having to get a policy in place. It was being challenged by in the courts, but the challengers lost. So we've had to adopt some policies, and they'll have to do some training. But the other policy that was on as an addendum was the policy on emergency leave days. We adopted a similar policy in April when the legislature provided for additional emergency days for people affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And we are proposing that this policy be adopted in September, at September's meeting, but retroactive to today, which is the first day of school. So employees could, if they were sick tomorrow or sometime between now and September 28th, they could still apply for those leave days if they needed to.
Yeah, excellent. Any questions? All right, thank you, Ms. Corson.
Thank you.
So your recommendation on action item F, Superintendent?
Approve the aforementioned policy revisions as presented.
All right, motion to approve, please. Motion made by Mr. Dodson, seconded by Mr. Kehoe. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. We have action item G now, sir.
In front of you have a request for early graduation. KK is a 16-year-old junior at OCHS. Documents to support this enclosure for your review and consideration is in your packet.
Yes, and so your recommendation is to approve.
Approve the early graduation due to the hardship for OCHS student.
Yes. Were there any questions or comments? So motion to approve, please. Made by Mr. Kehoe, seconded by Ms. Hundley. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. We are ready for public expression. All right, hearing none, we're going to move on. And board members, please review the one information item we have at the conclusion of this agenda, which is the monthly district energy usage report. And at this time, the board needs to go into executive session. And we will do that pursuant to KRS 61.8101C to discuss the following matters: 2 litigation matters pertaining to student injuries, 1 litigation matter pertaining to a non-student injury, and 1 special education matter. The board needs to go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.8101C to discuss litigation preparation, the public disclosure of which would jeopardize the board's position. So I need a motion to go into executive session, please. Motion made by Mr. Kehoe, seconded by Ms. Hundley. All those in favor? Next time, hold that up by the mic, Patrick. All right, so the board has just come out of executive session. Is there any action coming out of executive session? No action. All right, so it's that time of day, Superintendent. What's your recommendation?
Recommend to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please, made by Ms. Hundley, seconded by Mr. Dodson. All those in favor, and that's 5-0. Safe travels.